What was the Goldsmith's Tower is today a wonderful chocolate shop called Cherry Hill. In the Middle Ages, chocolate hadn't of course been invented, but they did enjoy sweet things. So they were used to eat a lot of dishes made with honey and a lot of sweet puddings. But rather unusually, the custards that they used to have in the Middle Ages were made from meat. So as well as being sweet and heavily spiced, they were also very meat-based, a lot of the dishes. But that was only really for the rich people. The poor people would have eaten something called pottage every day, and indeed the rich people ate it, but it was a slightly better pottage. And pottage was basically anything from a soup to something like porridge with stews in between. And it was something that you could cook in a big pot. It was usually had a bean or pea base, and you would add herbs, onions, and if it was not a fast day when you were forbidden to eat meat, then you would eat meat. You would add meat to the stew or the pottage if you had any. So the poor people would have eaten pigeon or something like that. The richer people would have obviously had things like venison and swan and all of the other things in their pottage. And if you were terribly poor and times were hard, it was probably more like a very watery soup that you actually ate. The other major staple of the day was, of course, bread. The rich people could afford bread made out of wheat. The poor people would probably eat bread made out of rye. But if they didn't have rye, and when times were hard they didn't, they would make it out of all kinds of other things like acorns. And here on the Isle of Ely, they would have used bulrushes, the ground roots of bulrushes, to make bread out of. And it must have been a very hard, tasteless bread, which probably fell apart. But if you dipped it in the pottage, it probably filled you up in those days.